I'm Fletcher Roden, and this is Tracking the Lone Wolf. It's based on my new book, Tracking the Lone Wolf, the Sigma at work, at home, and at play. The book is available in paperback and for Kindle and in audiobook format. I'm a public speaker, and you can learn more about that at the website, trackingthelonewolf.com. Tracking the Lone Wolf is a twice-monthly show that's filled with information which is invaluable to just about everybody. So I suggest you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Well, the Beatles. I've done an episode looking at John Lennon. Whether or not this man is truly an alpha or a gamma or an omega is hard to say. He certainly is a complex individual who has left us much to study. But it brings to mind the notion of his band, the Beatles. Perhaps the best known and most influential rock band in the history of that medium. Well known to be a foursome of strong personalities, it gives us an opportunity to study the new designations, beyond merely alpha and beta, which is, of course, the primary focus of Tracking the Lone Wolf, the Sigma, at work, at home, and at play, and of my public speaking presentations on the subject. Because alpha and beta simply are insufficient to capturing the complexity of the human condition. So, let's look at the complexity of this thing we call the Beatles. We've looked at John Lennon briefly. Certainly he has the earmarks of the alpha male. He was the leader of the band, at least for the first half of its run, until the death of Brian Epstein and the ascension of Paul McCartney to the role of leader of that band. But Lennon was certainly the alpha of the group until that time, for the first half of its run. He has other characteristics of the alpha, leans on physicality, did not like to be challenged, had a conservative background and was rooted in tradition, seemed to rule through force, at least the force of his will. However, he has other qualities. He had a socially active conscience, which the alpha does not have, but which the sigma often has. He basically only led when he had to lead, and he gave up leadership as soon as that turn of events occurred. And that's not an alpha. His solo albums reflect a great emotional expression, which is not characteristic of the alpha, nor is it characteristic of the sigma. He's a complex figure. Because of his sense of humor, one might consider him a gamma. But that's hard to say. I would go with gamma for John Lennon. But let's look at the others. I did a whole episode on John, actually. What about Paul McCartney? This is perhaps the most successful man in his industry. I believe that he is recorded as being the most successful singer-songwriter in history. And his success is hard to argue. Alpha? Well, he certainly is a patriarch of his clan. The McCartney family is broad and widespread and successful, and I'm certain that he's considered the patriarch of that family. He is old-fashioned. He's rooted in an old-fashioned tradition. He is traditional. He does musically. We can see that McCartney favors old-fashioned ways. He's implacable about it, but he also has adaptive qualities that the alpha often lacks. He is willing to change. He can evolve where the alpha often cannot. This is a sigma quality. He has the workman-like attitude of a beta. Keep your head down and get the job done. However, he certainly cannot be described as one who resists self-glorification. Certainly not self-promotion. As down-to-earth as he may be, he's not bashful about promoting himself. And that's an alpha quality, not a sigma quality. Not a gamma. He's not a gamma or an omega, and he's not a beta. And he is part of a higher social structure. He does enjoy his place among the social systems. And that's an alpha quality, not a sigma quality. I would go alpha with Paul McCartney. I'd say alpha. Okay, George Harrison, sigma. Definitely a sigma. Not accustomed to being part of a social structure, not interested in leadership, not interested in self-glorification, very active social conscience, independent-minded, artistic, diverse. I would George Harrison, definitely sigma. You can learn more about that in my book, Tracking the Lone Wolf, the sigma at work, at home, and at play. Ringo Starr. Well, here we see one of either the gamma or the omega. I feel that because of his natural sense of humor, one would go with gamma. He's not that driven like the omega or even the beta or the sigma. He's not focused. It's not that the omega and the gamma lack intelligence. They are intelligent. They're simply lacking in drive. They're lacking in focus. The omega and the gamma, you remember, they're what we'd think of as non-starters, slacker types, love them and leave them. They're prone to the Romeo complex, or rather the Romeo complex. Also the Don Juan. They are not reliable. They are not prone to marriage. They're not prone to commitment. They're sort of a working for the weekends type person. And that's Ringo. And he likes to joke. He likes to crack wise. He likes to make with the funny yuck. He likes to act sometimes. He likes to play drums sometimes. He makes records sometimes. I would call him, between the omega and the gamma, I would say gamma. Jokester. Office hoot. So there you go. There are the Beatles in the 4 designations. I encourage you to look at other people this way and give consideration to the full depth of the human psyche and the human experience. Alpha and beta just don't cut it. Not even for the Beatles. So, you can read more about this and other things in my book, Tracking the Lone Wolf, the Sigma at Work, at Home, and at Play. It's available in paperback and for Kindle and in audiobook format. I'm a public speaker, and you can learn more about that at the website, trackingthelonewolf.com. I'm Fletcher Roden, and this has been Tracking the Lone Wolf. See you again.